Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mayor's Tele-Town Hall with Small Businesses. We have more than 1,000 people on this call. We know a lot of you have questions, and we want to answer your questions and provide as much information as possible. Before we begin, just a couple of things that I would like to pass along to you. We will, if you have a question during this call, please press 7 on your dial pad. That's press 7 on your dial pad. And then you will be immediately connected with a screener who will take information from you and put your question into the system so that we can answer it. We also will be asking you some questions to get a snapshot of the situation that you are facing right now with your small businesses. So we will give you some instructions on that and ask you some questions as well as you asking us questions. Again, thank you for your commitment to our city. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and we believe we will be able to provide you some important information as it relates to this moment. With that, let me introduce to you now Mayor Randall L. Woodfin.
Good morning to all the small business owners on this call. It's hard to put the word good in front of it because I know many of you all are experiencing a lot of pain right now. Just the order of the flow, I'll share some brief remarks. I think it'll be important for Dr. Josh Carpenter, who's over the Department of Economic Development and Innovation for the City of Birmingham, along with Bob Dickerson with the BVRC, to speak to you about what we're attempting to do to provide you some relief from a local standpoint. I'm speaking with you this morning because I know many of you all are concerned. You're concerned about your families. You're concerned about your employees. Definitely know you're concerned about your customers, but above all, I am convinced that many of you all are concerned about the future of your business. I've spoken to many of you all over the past week and the stories that I've heard have been so painful. It's hard for me to even walk or bike or drive around the city and seeing so many doors shut. As a city, we are dependent on your success to an extreme. And so the measures we took with shelter in place have made it even tougher, I know. But I am attempting to balance a health crisis that has not only created a local economic crisis, but an American economic crisis. Our first responsibility, which is the safety of our people, has to be measured. There is no economy if our people are not well. But today you'll hear more from Dr. Carpenter and Bob Dickerson on how we're going to uplift you as much as we can. But we mostly want to hear from you and address your questions and concerns. And so with that, I now invite Josh to give you all an update.
Good morning, everyone. Again, I just want to echo the mayor's sentiments. We're so grateful that all of you have made time for us this morning. We know that running a small business is a risk, and that you all are taking this risk with us during this time, an extremely uncertain period in our economy. And we're doing what we can to mitigate the risk as a city government. And our goal is to work in concert with you and hopefully connect you to other resources beyond what we can offer. As you all know, we were working on an emergency small business loan on the last call. The City Council passed that, so the city put in $1.2 million to a fund that has been matched by the private sector for a total of $2.4 million in emergency small business loans. There are 4 loans. You can get one at $25,000, $20,000, $15,000, and $10,000. Interest rates start at 3% after 180 days. The goal of those microloans is really to bridge small businesses into a more stable business cycle or into other forms of capital, such as the Small Business Administration. The Emergency Small Business Administration loans are already available. Alabama, since we've last spoken, Alabama has been declared a disaster area, and so Jefferson County businesses are now eligible for those small business loans, which are up to $2 million at a 3.5% interest rate. our goal really is to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to get you the resources you need. We hope that this first round provides an opportunity for all small businesses in our community who have been negatively affected by COVID-19, an opportunity and a bridge to a more sound economic foundation. Mr. Bob Dickerson at the Birmingham Business Resource Center is administering that loan. We are happy to take questions on the loan as we receive them. Some questions that we've gotten are, why have we chosen to do a small business loan as opposed to a grant? And I want to address that right away. The answer is, we hope to establish a revolving loan fund. So ideally, the money paid back by businesses can then be paid forward into other small businesses in our community to also revolve loans for small businesses who need them coming out of this crisis. So ideally, we have businesses that are successful in this first round that once those loans are paid back, they can be redeployed into neighboring small businesses so that we can replenish our neighborhood revitalization corridors and our downtown central business district. Also, the loan format is really what a lot of other communities have done in the past, and they've been very successful, including in crises after 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina. We have a group of loan committee experts who are working very closely with the Birmingham Business Resource Center to evaluate these loans, and we hope to deploy capital.
Apologize, we had two phones pop up. Apologize for that, Josh.
I think at this point I'm happy to hand it over either to Bob Dickerson or to take questions. I do want to say very quickly a huge thank you to the Small Business Council members. There are 22 members of that council who weighed in on the application and helped shape our thinking tremendously on the way it was constructed. I also want to thank our Office of Business Diversity and Opportunity, who worked around the clock and over the weekend to make sure that the loan was up and running on Monday. We've already received several applications, and scores of volunteers are willing to pitch in, and people from big corporations to civic clubs to small businesses around the city have all decided that they wanted to pitch into this fund. And I think that I want to close by saying it's a testament to the services that you all have been providing and that people want to make sure you continue to provide.
Thank you, Josh. Before we get into Q&A, Bob Dickerson is on the phone. Bob, is there any update or information you want to share before we get into questions and answers?
Well, good morning, everybody, and thanks for including me. Listen, there's not a lot to add to what both the mayor and Josh have stated. This is an emergency loan fund because we know, like businesses from across the country, the significant slowdown in commerce hurts. And so, and while that is necessary to make sure that we protect the country's and of course, in this case, Birmingham's health, it doesn't help our small business community. And so this is one way of trying to extend some liquidity to small businesses so that when the coronavirus and all of the ramifications of it have passed, then we continue to have businesses that are viable and get back into the swing of things in a more rapidly. As Josh mentioned, this is a loan fund. It's 180 days of zero interest. It converts into a 2-year loan, and depending on the amount that is owed at that time, we'll have an interest rate as low as 3%. So it is still going to be a low interest loan. We hope that we can prevent staff reductions, try to offset some of the losses that businesses may have had based on the virus. Make sure that you're able to keep people employed, sponsor sick pay, and those kinds of things. Yes, we have already begun to receive applications. And I also have an inbox full of emails and probably a phone log full of phone calls and text messages from businesses who are letting me know that they've applied and their applications are online. We are going to begin to evaluate those applications actually starting today. We have another call coming up to set that in motion. The mayor mentioned our loan committee. We've assembled an expert group of people who understand how to look at business loans. And to Josh's point, I think elevate this is important. We do want to get these loans paid back because it allows us to do something for our small business community on an ongoing basis. And, access to capital typically has been one of the challenges for businesses. And it really doesn't matter. It's more of a challenge if you're a minority business or a disadvantaged business, but access to capital is always going to be a challenge and has always been a challenge. So whatever we can do to address access to capital for Birmingham businesses going forward, then that's going to be important. I'll just stop and say that I really appreciate the city bringing our organization in, and I'm really actually excited and appreciative of the corporate community, and hats off to the mayor and Josh for being able to galvanize so much support behind this effort. And so I'll be on to try to answer any questions that you might have.
Everyone, we'll turn it over to Rick Journey now, who will prompt us on how to get into our questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, I'd like to remind everybody, if you have a question today, please press 7 on your dial pad. Press 7 on your dial pad. You'll be connected to a screener who will take your question and put it into our system where we can respond to your question. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a few questions we want to ask you as well. The first question I have for you, is your business still operating? Press 1 for yes, we operate normally. Press 2, yes, we telework. Press 3, no, we have suspended operations. Press 4, no, our business is definitely closed down for good. Once again, before you press, we're getting that system up. It kind of paused for a moment, so it may have not got the immediate response. So I'm going to ask the question again. Is your business still operating? Press 1 for yes, we operate normally. Press 2 for yes, we telework. Press 3, no, we have suspended operations. Press 4, no, our business is definitely closed down for good. We will have this question open for about 3 minutes, and I'll remind you once again of it, and then we will close. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can ask your questions by pressing 7 on your dial pad. You will talk to a screener, and then you will be able to connect. We will be able to connect and get your information and get your call, your request in, your question in, and move on from there. So we have our first question, and I'm going to try. This is a small business, but we're going to see if we can address this. How are we supposed to get medical supplies if there's no way to order because everything is on back order? Josh and Bob, if I can ask both of you, as far as distribution, medical supplies is one of the issues we know is an issue throughout the nation. But for the most part, we are seeing that the distribution systems on daily goods is healthy. It's just the demand is also very big. But as far as medical supplies, have we received any guidance on the distribution of those, with many things being on back order?
So the short answer to that question is that the demand for what people call PPE, personal protective equipment, is higher than it ever has been. So that's masks, and there's some masks have different grades, including N95, which is the most important grade. And those are of absolute need, not just to our medical professionals, but also our first responders, including police officers and firefighters. Those forms of equipment are, right now the goal is to ramp up production in the private sector and then distribute those more fully. A lot of people are trying to pull on that, but the bottom line is every community is fighting for those resources right now. So the city of Birmingham has authorized funding to go purchase some of those for our first responders, and I've been in touch even this morning with a small business whose working on producing models of masks going forward. Unfortunately, I can't tell you a precise location to go get it if you're a small business that wants to prepare or deliver meals with that PPE. But our goal is to secure as much as possible and know that we're in constant touch, not just with small FEMA and others, but also with small businesses who are looking to produce that. If we have an update, we'll publish that to our website at the city as well as the BeHamStrong.com website.
Thank you, Josh. Our next question is for you, both you and Bob. The question is, how do you obtain the loans?
Well, the first step in that process, and I'll let Bob talk through it, is you go to BeHamStrong.com, and for small businesses, you click on the loan application. You complete the application, and then that application will be vetted in a two-part process. There'll be a scoring rubric that a loan committee uses to evaluate loans, but prior to that, there'll be a group of people who help underwrite the loan by going through your documents and making sure that they do due diligence on the status of your company. Bob, do you want to talk a little bit more in detail about that process?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So once loans are approved, we'll contact the borrower, of course, let you know that your loan is approved, and then discuss the mechanism for closing, that is getting the money to you. We're going to be closing using DocuSign, so we'll be using a remote closing platform, and the money will be wired directly to your bank account. So part of the discussion around closing will be obviously ascertaining that we're talking to the appropriate person, making sure that we get appropriate identification uploaded, making sure that there's an ACH form signed, and of course, a promissory note. And all of that is going to be done remotely, done through DocuSign. Once that process is completed, then money will be wired to your account, and you'll have your funds. Now, I guess I make it sound really simple. It may not be as simple as just a conversation. We are willing to and able to consult with businesses. As I mentioned earlier, I've got a lot of phone calls from people who needed specific questions answered. So if you don't get to ask them during this call, feel free to call us. We have a special line set up at the Birmingham Business Resource Center. And when you call, it'll prompt you to leave a question or leave a message on that particular line. We're checking it constantly and getting back with people immediately. So I just want to put that out. But the closing process will be streamlined as much as possible and will be done remotely.
All right, thanks, Bob. Our next question, this comes from a concrete company. They're asking, are we considered essential or non-essential? Services, residential, and commercial. They serve services, residential, and commercial. The concrete company wants to know, are they considered essential or non-essential?
So as many of you all know, the city of Birmingham is in constant contact with the Jefferson County Health Department, who's the head health officer, Dr. Mark Wilson. Dr. Mark Wilson last week put out a list of non-essential businesses and ordered them closed. The city of Birmingham also put in a stay-at-home order. We have made it clear, but I am glad many of you all on this phone for me to express this directly to you. If your business was open Tuesday, then that means your business is open, can remain open Wednesday. If you are currently not on the non-essential list, then your business can continue to operate. The only person, and at this point in the city limits of Birmingham and or Jefferson County, dictating what businesses should be open or closed is Dr. Mark Wilson, who's over the Jefferson County Health Department. Since the original non-essential list came out, no additional and or new businesses have been added to the list to remain closed. Therefore, this type of business or any other type of business, if you are currently open, then you can continue to operate and remain open in the city limits of Birmingham.
If I may add to that, Mayor, also, if you are not familiar with the list or the order, you can go to the Jefferson County Department of Health website. That's jcdh.org, jcdh.org. At the top of the screen, there is the actual order that was put in place by the Jefferson County Health Officer, and right below that is a graphic that shows those non-essential businesses that were ordered closed to start with. So just directing you to that as a resource. We have that information on our site as well at birminghamal.gov/coronavirus, birminghamal.gov/coronavirus. Our next question is for, once again, Josh and Bob. The question is, what's the deadline for the loan application, and why is the deadline so short? Most businesses may not be aware of the deadline on the 27th if it's the actual deadline date to complete the application.
The short answer to that question. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Go ahead, Josh. Well, you can. I'll let you go first, and then I'll follow up.
The goal really is to get money deployed as quickly as possible. We know that most small businesses in our community have about 14 days of cash flow if income were interrupted. We're at probably day 7 or 8, depending on when you count the restricted business operations from the health department's order. So we wanted to get money out as soon as possible. Providing a tight window is not ideal, but in terms of getting information together, but it is, we think, essential in order for us to do diligence on companies and then get money deployed as quickly as possible.
So, and what I'll add is that, and I think the question is a very good one. There are other rounds of loan evaluations and fundings to come. And as Josh said, in order for us to meet some immediate demand, we have to take a process that establishes a deadline that allows our team to now go to work to do the evaluations and to get the money into hands of those borrowers. Now, when that process is done, we'll open it back up. I don't anticipate that we've got enough applications that will be or loans that will be made to take the entire fund. I can't say that for sure right now, but I don't anticipate that to be the case. And so we anticipate having another round and perhaps another a second round or a third round, if you will.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. So we're going to go back to the polls. I want to remind you one more time, and we'll finish this one up. We will finish this poll up, so you got 30 seconds to respond to this. Actually, we go to our next question. We had a question about operations, so I'm going to move on beyond that one. Will the city abate or suspend local tax collection during this crisis?
At this time, I would say we're looking into all and every option available to us as it relates to easing pain and burdens that a lot of people in our small business community face. But the truth is, we have not assessed if we're going to move towards that direction or not.
Our next question: if we are outside the city limits, but ever a large number, can we, with the right number of employees, can we get the loan?
Unfortunately, if you are outside of the city limits, this is not applicable in regards to being eligible for this loan program. This program is for small businesses who are located within the city limits of Birmingham.
So once again, I want to remind everybody, if you have a question, please press 7. Once you press 7, you will be connected immediately with a screener. The screener will then plug your question into the system so that we can ask that question. So once again, press 7 if you have a question. You can ask your question to a screener, and they will put this into the system so that we can address it as well. Our next question goes to Josh Carpenter. Why are Birmingham Strong funds a loan versus a grant?
I think I tried to address this at the beginning, but this really follows the models that have been set forward in moments of crisis from 9/11 to Hurricane Katrina. The reality is that we see these funds as bridge funding into additional forms of capital, whether that's SBA or other forms of private loans. And the goal is to create a revolving loan fund so that the businesses who benefit from this in round one and succeed are able to basically pay it forward to a second round of small businesses in Birmingham. This also provides a mechanism for raising additional funds in the private sector for later rounds and potentially bigger rounds as we go forward. So a loan fund does follow, we think, the best practices here, and we've done our best to keep interest rates as low as possible and zero interest for 180 days so that companies can endure what is a difficult business cycle.
All right, thank you, Josh. Would you, I know we've gone through this, but I know we've also got new callers on the line, and a couple of these are repetitive. If you could go through the process for folks when they first get on there, if they, what do they need to do as far as what information they need to do to plug into the system to get this moving?
Sure. So go to bhamstrong.com and you can click on For Small Businesses. The loan application form is actually on the home page, and there's a digital application that you can complete and upload your documents, and those documents would then be reviewed by the Birmingham Business Resource Center and the Loan Review Committee. As soon as we possibly can, we will notify those folks who are successful and deploy the funds with all deliberate speed. Our goal is really to make sure that you have any assistance you need in completing that application. So the Office of Business Diversity Opportunity and the Department of Innovation and Economic Opportunity at the City of Birmingham stand ready to assist you with your application, and there are opportunities to ask for help on the website.
All right, thank you, Josh. Okay, we're going to go to our next question that we would like to ask of you to try to gauge a snapshot of where you are in the situation right now. Our next one is, do the COVID-19 protocols that have been put into place make you feel safer? Press 1 for much safer, press 2 for somewhat safer, and press 3 for not much safer. You will have 2 minutes to respond to that. Once again, I'm going to read them. Do the COVID-19 protocols that have been put into place make you feel safer? Press 1 for much safer, press 2 for somewhat safer, press 3 for not much safer. We will have about 2 minutes to respond to that question, and then we'll move on. As we collect the information on this one, we thank you for being on this call and for taking part in this call. We will continue to provide updates for you. One thing that I do want to remind you is if you want to get immediate updates from the City of Birmingham on major announcements concerning COVID-19, you can text the keyword BHM COVID, all uppercase, one word, BHM COVID, to 888-777, and you will be put on a text message list that will respond to you not on a large number, but really maybe up to 2 maximum a day, if pertaining to if it's a major announcement to push out. With that, I'd like to turn back to Mayor Randall Woodfin.
Again, I want to thank everyone for being on the call. Of course, please go to bhamstrong.com for more information, as well as any additional information you may need. Our office is very easy to reach in regards to any way we can assist you during this time. Again, as we know, this is a hard time for you. It's a hard time for your families, your employees, and your customers. And many of you all are concerned about the future of your businesses. But we will continue to do everything we can to support you. And I want to thank you for having this time with us. Thank you.
One quick reminder for you, thank you for taking part. If you would like to ask a question that was not brought up during this call, you can press 7 and hold on at the end of the call and leave a message. We will follow up on those questions with a FAQ that we will post on our website. Also, we will provide a recorded version of this call that can be posted up later today. It will be on birminghamal.gov/coronavirus. You will find it. You will find the subject line of this and all the other calls. You can click on that, and you can replay or share this with others. Thank you for being on this call today. Thank you for what you do in our great city, and have a good day. Goodbye.